Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Kowloon 9 with Sumabato. This was a super major that happened this weekend in Japan, and he had a bunch of invaders coming down, though if you look at the placements, you might not be able to tell. And for our top 16 finishers, you're going to have Kananabe, Karage, Matsunabe, and Taikei in 13th, Neo, Ken, Carmelo, and Zomba in 9th. In 7th, you're going to have Omatsu and Gax. 5th is Yaura and Doramiki. 4th is Hurt. 3rd is Osimo. 2nd is Rarakun. And winning the entire thing is, of course, Miya. As always, we're going to start with the underperformances, and there weren't too many of them, unless I just completely missed some, but there were two big ones, and that's going to be Yoshidora out at 33rd, and Gluttony out at 17th. For Yoshidora, he loses to Rarakun in the winner's side, and considering that Rarakun got 2nd place, you honestly can't feel too bad about that one, and Toraguri in the loser side, another potentially top 10 win for Toraguri on Banjo-Kazooie. I don't know how this guy does it. And for Gluttony, he ends up losing to Doramigi in the winner's side, and Doramigi also had a phenomenal run, and Carmelo in the loser side, who arguably had the run of the tournament. He popped off super hard. We'll talk about him in a little bit. And for Gluttony and Yoshidora, yeah, they're underperformances. These players are absolutely going to bounce back. They are incredible at this game, and one bad performance isn't going to stop them. We had some other underperformances, though they weren't as dramatic. You have Umeki out at 49th, Cosmos and Ryuo out at 65th, and shouts to Rare-Kusu for beating Cosmos with Donkey Kong, because that matchup definitely isn't winnable, but he won it anyway. You're going to have Jogbu and Apollo Kage both out at 25th, but Apollo Kage's run is definitely a little bit special because he lost his second match of the day to Renami, so shouts Renami, massive upset right there, and then he just had a ballistic loses run, including wins over Sylph, Enkai, Nader, Suinoko, Goryoka, and a handful of other people before he unfortunately falls to Akka, and we'll talk about Akka's run in just a little bit, but getting hero in a region where you don't speak the language is always going to be an uphill battle. Still, Apollo Kage didn't have an amazing Japan trip, all things considered. He does have a really nice cafeteria cup, but at the majors, he didn't quite perform probably how he would expect, but I think the fact that he was able to recover this run is a really good sign for him going into these next couple events. Now let's actually talk about Akka right now, because he had quite the run. He ends up losing to Jai, or JY, I'm not actually super sure how you pronounce that, in the winner's side, and then he has a pretty decent losers run, beating Futari, Kome, Base Mage, and Apollo Kage, so he took out two Americans right there. Definitely a little bit of advantage towards him, but you know what? When Japanese players are flying down to America, they gotta deal with it, so it's only fair that we have to deal with it. And I would still probably say that Beast Mode Paul is the best hero player in the world, but that race between him and Akka is incredibly close, and I know Akka is going to be going to Genesis. I hope he's able to make waves at that event, and spoilers, he's probably going to make waves at that event because this guy is incredible, and I'm not sure if Beast Mode Paul is there, but if they are, that could be the way where we finally find out who the best hero player is. Editing fruit block here, I just wanted to say, as of right now, Beast Mode Paul is not signed up for Genesis. That doesn't mean that he won't sign up, but regardless, I'm very excited to see Akka there. I should also mention Zomba ended up finishing 9th place because he's the only other top 8 seed that didn't get into the top 8, and it's still a solid run from him. He only loses to Yaura and Hurt, who are obviously phenomenal players, and he's able to get a handful of solid wins, including players like Gachapi, Base Mage, and 33 Parent Box, so no top 8s for Zomba in Japan, but he did win the Cafeteria Cup, so he's at least got a trophy to go home with. Now, we didn't have quite as many low-tier runs as we did at Umabora, but there was still a couple. You're going to have Leaf finishing in 33rd, picking up wins on Alice and Showers, and the way that Alice was playing at Umabora, I think that's a super impressive win for Leaf. And, of course, Toraguri in 17th place with Solo, Banjo, getting wins on players like Roki, Navy, Yoshidora, and Shiryuki. This guy is one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in esports. I feel like I really cannot drive this point home enough. The things that he is doing and the consistency that he has with Banjo-Kazooie, it really is unreal. The fact that he could potentially be a top 50 player in the world with one of the worst characters in the game and arguably the hardest meta of Smash Ultimate is just so impressive to me. The most props you can possibly give to Toraguri. And a group block here, I forgot to mention another low tier run from Lax. He ends up getting 25th with wins on MZK, Yoni P, and SSSR, so big ups to him for that. But now we got to talk about what is arguably the run of the tournament from Carmelo, the 78th seed, who ended up finishing 9th place, and he got a bunch of super solid wins along the way. Ended up losing to Snow fairly early on, and in the losers bracket, he beat Reirakusu, Maido, Ron, Gluttony, and Karage. Obviously, that Gluttony win is going to be at the highlight. Such an impressive feat. And Steve is kind of hitting this weird part in the meta where the character is obviously going to be very popular. He's the best character in the game by a significant margin. And there was a bunch of Steve players in the top 64. But when we get to the top 32, you're only going to have 4. You're going to have Yamanoction in 25th. You're going to have Rocky and 33 Parent Box in 17th. And you're going to have Carmelo in 9th place. So he is going to be the highest placing Steve at the event. No Steves in the top 8, and I think that's going to be something that we're seeing as we're getting further into Smash Ultimate. The top level players in this game are going to know this Steve matchup probably better than any other matchup, and there's definitely counters and solutions to the characters, so Steve is always going to be an abundant character, but it's very rare that we're seeing players not named acola or a miya secondary pocket whenever he goes to things actually getting into the top 8 with these characters, and I'm curious to see how it's going to unfold into 2024. Maybe Carmelo is going to be one of those staple Steve players, because if he played like he did at this event, he's probably going to be getting into a couple top 8s. And I've got 3 more players that I want to mention before getting into the top 8. And the first one is going to be Ron. He was able to pick up wins on Lee Mac, Ouch, and Hero, placing 25th, the highest placing Yoshi at this event. So shoutouts to him for that. You're going to have Karage finishing in 13th place. He's going to be the highest placing Falcon at this event, and he's going to pick up wins on Jagaimo, Jogabu, and Aka. That Jogabu win is especially impressive to me because that's been a matchup that Karage has been struggling in a lot recently. It's just not a super great record for him, and the fact that he is able to overcome it 3-0, by the way, I think is super telling of maybe what we're going to see from Karage in 2024. He is a player with a lot of potential, and I think this could be an amazing year for him, but we're just going to have to wait and see. And the final one is going to be Neo. He's going to pick up wins on Ron, Atorie, Senra, and Matsunabe on his run to 9th place. Also, shouts to Senra for beating Jagaimo and Riziyasu and also finishing 17th with Puff. But back to Neo, as I was talking about earlier with the best reps of respective characters, Neo is definitely fighting for the best Corrin title with Shattuck. Both of them are going to get 9th places at super major events already early on into the year, and it's definitely going to be a close race between them because they're both just so incredibly talented, and Corrin is amazing in the meta right now. I'm very curious to see who's going to pull ahead on that. So let's actually get into this top 8, and if I left out your favorite player, I swear it wasn't personal. There's just a lot of people at this event, so just leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to tell you how their run was. But our 7th place finishers are going to be Omatsu and Gak. Starting off with Omatsu, who had his grand return at this event. He hasn't been competing in quite some time, and he immediately comes back and just top 8s his first event with wins over Claw, Mido, Hurt, and Neo. Super impressive run from him. If this is what we're going to be seeing in 2024, Doramigi is going to have some real competition for the best Minmin in the world. And then the other 7th place finisher is going to be Gak. He was able to pick up wins on Noi, Luminous, Osimo, and Carmelo. And Gak is just by far the best Nets player to ever touch this game. He is incredible. He's really the only one at this point in the game you see top 8ing these major events. You look back 2023, 2022, 2021, there was a lot of Nets players getting some really solid results. But nowadays, Gak feels like the last bastion of the character. And obviously, there's other Nets players. Send is still incredible. Syrup, when he plays the character, is very good, but Gak is by far the best Ness. He's just insanely good with this character, and another top 8 to add to his belt. Our 5th place finishers are going to be Doramigi and Yaura, both coming in through the winner's side. Yaura picking up wins on Futari, Dio, Neo, and Zomba. And that conversation of the best Samus in the world is a really tricky one, because based off results, I probably would give it to Yaura, but Siski, who's obviously going to be the player that is in contention for that title, is going to be stuck in Europe. And unfortunately, he's just not going to have as many opportunities in Europe now. Hopefully in 2024, they're going to have more majors than they did in 2023, but it's probably going to pale in comparison to Japan because they have a big event, it feels like, every single other day, and Yaura is performing at a majority of those events. So we're really just going to have to wait and see, is Siski going to travel a lot in 2024, do well at these major events outside of his region as well as inside of his region, and is Yaura going to keep putting up these results? The answer is probably yes, because this guy is extremely good, but I'm very excited to see how that's going to unfold. And the best Minmin player in the world is without a doubt Doramigi at this point. He has been on such a hot streak at this event. He was able to beat Yonpi, Mutikin, Gluttony, and Ken. He was able to get 2 top 10 wins, and this player is going to have a very good year. I could see Doramigi being a top 15, maybe even top 10 player in the world. He's just been on this upward trend, top 8ing every single event that he goes to, and I think he has an incredibly bright future. I'm very excited. In fourth place, you're going to have Hurt. Third place, Osimo. And Hurt, I mean, what a run from this guy. He is able to pick up wins on Navy and Goryoka in the winner's side. Then he ends up losing to Omatsu. It's a pretty tough match for Snake. You can't feel too bad about that. And then in the loser's side, as always, he just pops off super hard, beating Noi, Kananabe, Zomba, Gakt, and Doramigi. Those Gak and Doramigi wins are especially impressive for me because those are not easy matchups for Snake, and Hurt is clearly adjusting his game plan based off the matchup. He's just such an intelligent player, someone that's definitely going to be poised to be top 10 in the world for 2024, and I'm personally very, very excited to see how his tournaments are going to unfold. And in third place, you're going to have Osimo. He's able to pick up wins on Leaf and Void before falling to Gak. And like Hurt, he has a similarly incredible lose run, beating Toraguri, Taikei, Ken, Omatsu, Yara, and Hurt before falling to Rarakun. Such a phenomenal run. Osimo is a player, when he's playing at his best, he's one of the highest ceilings in this game. He just hits you so hard with the Ryu combos, and I'm very excited to see if he's able to finally get that major win in 2024. I think both him and Hurt are players that can take one of these big events home. We're just going to have to wait and see if they're able to. And our grand finalists are going to be Rarakun in second and Miya in first. It feels like every single Japanese tournament, you have this crazy run from the second place finisher, and the winner is just going to be like Miya or Acola. Those two guys are just so incredibly dominant. But let's talk about Rarakun first. Undeniably, the run of the tournament. I'm pretty sure it was solo Luigi, though he does have other characters like the Donkey Kong and the Steve, but Luigi was definitely doing a majority of the work, and he picked up wins on Nader-Yu, Yoshidora, Snow, Omatsu, Doramigi, and Osimo. The Umatsu and Doramigi wins are especially impressive to me just because that matchup is awful for Luigi. The second he gets to enough stage, he just dies, but the pressure that Rarakun was able to create against those two players and against everyone in this bracket was just able to get him so far. This is the best Luigi run we have ever seen in Smash Ultimate and potentially the best Luigi in the world alongside Luigi. I'm very curious to see who is going to take that title. And speaking of the best of something in the world, Miya. He is very, very good, and he wins another major event. He was able to get wins over Kuroponzo, Susu. That was a very close set, by the way. Rocky, Gakt, Yara, and 2 wins on Rarakun. And there's honestly not a ton to say there. It's Miya. He won. It's not really that shocking. This guy is just so good at this game, poised to be potentially the best player in the world going into 2024, and I'm just very curious to see who's actually going to take that spot between him, Spargo, Acola, Sonix. Maybe a 5th contender actually gets in there. We'll just have to wait and see, and I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. The support has been absolutely unreal as of late. If there's anything I got wrong, left out, or if you just want to say hi, leave a comment down below. Be sure to sub while you're down there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!